What if there was another way to actually live, a way that you can actually start to be in charge of your own healing, a way to get out of this survival mode and into creative mode? Well, it's my job as your host of the Healing Tree Hub to introduce you to some modalities that might actually make all the difference and to give you your power back. My name is Sarah, and I have the pleasure of meeting you every week to discuss new modalities and new topics that are really making a difference out there. So buckle up and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Healing Tree Hub, episode 10. Today we're going to be talking about karma. Now, I have been wanting to talk about this subject for a very, very long time, but I just got tangled into the complication of it. And I really wanted to wait until I could really give you guys something that would really benefit you and make it really clear. Now, all of these concepts come from many different teachers, and I've compiled what seems to be the consistent message that feels right and resonates with me. Take or leave whatever information you receive today and just take whatever you find helpful. My word is not gospel, okay? This is just my belief system, and if you do adapt this belief system and do agree and resonate with this information, you will find so much peace, though, because it is a beautiful, beautiful concept. And it takes a lot of the fear-based beliefs around karma away. And that's why I really wanted to share this information with all of my audience and listeners, because I really feel like there's just been a lot of misconception around karma, the karmic wheel. This is a tricky one to explain, though. I really want to do it justice. But to really explain karma, I've got to go back and explain a couple of other concepts before it makes sense. So bear with me. I promise I'm getting to the point. But this one's a real strong subject. And to understand this subject, you need to really get the concept that we are this divine spirit and all of us belong to the source energy, the God energy, whatever you want to call it. But there's something else I really want to talk about. I want to talk about the law of attraction in this podcast. We spoke about it a lot in my second episode, Get What You Want. And this follows on from that. What you're putting out into the universe comes right back to you. So that's the one that it's more common to understand that what we send out comes back to us. But I really want to demystify, again, this is not a judgmental, this is not a punishment thing. It's not I hit this person, so I'm getting punished and I'm going to get punched in the face. It's not quite it. So I really feel like it's an important concept to really break down. So that's what today's session's all about. I really want to discuss some of the misconceptions and how karma truly, truly works. So now that we really understand that we are a spirit having a human experience and we all come from the divine light. Yes, I'm talking even the Putins and the Hitlers of the world that have completely gone 360 and are choosing really, really what we would conceive as evil choices. Of course, subjective, depending on what your belief systems are. But and it's a really hard concept. It's like, well, what about these murderers and these rapists and these really terrible, awful people and these pedophiles? Of course, absolutely. There is no doubt that these spirits that have come into these human bodies have really lost their way. They have really lost their way. And there will be a time when they pass over that they will be given a life review. And this is a really interesting concept. And a lot of people in my field understand this quite well, because you speak to any near-death experiencer or anybody that's experienced something that's, allowed them to almost cross over, they'll tell you the same story. It's absolutely incredible. And when you pass over, you have a guide or an angel or somebody with you, and then they show you a review of your life, and you're able to actually experience the emotions and how it affected every single person that you came across in that lifetime. And it sort of looks back and it feels the pain that it caused other people. It experiences it like they experienced it. It's a very, very holistic experience. The Hitlers and the Putins and the rapists and the murderers and the people that did really terrible things here on earth, they are going to have to view that and feel it. And it's not a punishment again. It is just something that happens so that the soul can remember how divine they actually are. So what they choose to do after that is their choice. But usually they would come past and they would go, okay, I'm going to go back in. And this time I'm going to be the villain, or I'm going to be the victim, or I'm going to be having a cruisy life and a bit of a break. And they choose what they're going to actually do. And they also have a tribe of souls that they've been going in and out of these different lifetimes with, and they're sort of karmically connected. So they might have Dolores Cannon. I love Dolores Cannon's teachings. She talks about the fact that these soul tribes, they'll actually have an agreement, a contract that they'll go in with, and they'll be like, okay, you're going to play the villain, I'm going to play the victim, and we're going to go and we're going to ride this out, and hopefully I learn the experience of what I didn't learn last time, and I'm able to clock that one off and jump off the wheel of karma. And off we go. So on you go, we get born, we get this beautiful divine experience of being born, and we forget everything. We forget how close we are to God and how connected we all are. We completely forget this, and we have this illusion of being disconnected. That is the issue here. So it depends on that sort of nurture experience that you have, nature versus nurture experience that you have, and you come on and you become the person you are, and you have all these belief systems in place, and those belief systems help you make choices, and those choices can be what is perceived as evil and what is perceived as good, etc. And a lot of people lose their way. And we continue to create karma while we're here with every soul contract that we make. Now, this one was deep. When I was introduced to this concept, it took me a while to really understand, because I always thought that soul contracts were something that you did with your soul tribe before you came and incarnated on earth and chose the character that you were going to play on this big school plane. And I didn't realize that we're actually making subconscious and conscious contracts every single day with our words. So we come on, and in one lifetime we may have said, I vow. So these are vows that we tend to make. I vow to have a life of poverty. So a lot of people, or celibacy, or I vow to only love this one man in my life, or I vow to dedicate my entire life to the church. And what happens is those vows, we don't realize how powerful our actual words are. And I speak about this in a lot of the podcasts. Our thoughts that turn into emotions have a vibrational effect that sends out a vibration out into the universe. And due to the law of attraction, we can only receive that. We understand that now. But we also have the intent. We are incredibly powerful. And we completely forget about that. That's another thing, we completely forget about it. But we are co-creators. We literally can create anything. That's what manifestation is all about. We picture it, we feel it, we send the vibration out to the universe, and we can actually create anything. It's just the only thing stopping us from manifesting anything is our belief systems that get in the way. Because if we're sending a contradictory thought, like, for example, I want to win the Tats Lotto example I had in the other podcast, and I had this vibration of creating this scenario and this frequency out that I was going to win Tats Lotto, and then a belief system popped in and went, oh, it's really unlikely, Sarah. Bang, instantly dropped, instantly sent out a new message, and the universe was only able to provide the order that I gave out, which was, I can only really win a small amount. So I got $40, which is great, but it's not the $40 million I was hoping for. With my clients and on these podcasts and in my teachings and in my courses, to really help people with their mindset and beliefs. Because if you start there, you'll realize that's going to be literally paving out the way and what your future path will be like, because that's the thoughts you're sending into emotions, and those emotions send out vibrations and set you into that frequency. I'm hoping that you're really starting to get this concept now, and it's becoming almost second nature to understand it, because without that, it's very difficult to understand this concept of karma. So let's just say in one lifetime, and yes, we have many different lifetimes, I was someone that vowed my life to the church, for example, and I did not want to. I had a vow of celibacy, and that was something I continued on with. And then in this life, I was born, and I was. This is not real, by the way. I'm just making it up for the sake of an example, and I could never understand why I couldn't find love. And I'm 50-year old, and I'm still a virgin, that kind of stuff. So there are particular vows that we come in with different lives with, a karmic vow that comes through and it holds. It can be a little bit tricky if you're not aware of what's been there. But there's a lot of other vows that we make every day. I swear I'm never going to, I swear I'm never going to forgive her, or I swear I'm never going to find love. Those are particular things that we've got to be really careful about what we say, because we're actually starting a karmic wheel of a soul contract there. So be really aware. Now, the way to get out of these contracts, there's only one way out of these karmic contracts that we find ourselves in. And that is to, number one, identify it, figure it out. Oh, I'm in one. Okay. I swore I'd never find love. Okay. That might be why someone has been single and not being able to find love. And just like any other court, just like any other contract, treat it like that. Look at yourself and think, okay, was I of right mind? And when I say was I of right mind, was I using my actual human mind to make that decision? Or was it a spiritual experience of insight that I had? No, it was my mind. It was my ego brain. And my ego brain is like a little child that is learning and discovering, and it doesn't have the insight that my higher mind has. Okay, so I'm going to forgive my ego mind for making that decision for me. And I'm going to let that one go. Right there and then, you identified that it was your human brain, maybe your inner child brain, we've learned a little bit about, and it didn't really have the ability to make that decision for you in the first place, because it wasn't your higher mind, it wasn't your higher spiritual self that we discussed earlier. This human body that we're in has forgotten everything. It's like a little baby trotting around making a mess, making lots of mistakes. And when we forgive ourselves, because we're that human that's forgotten everything, right there and then, that forgiveness, because forgiveness is the key that unlocks the karmic wheel. Forgiveness of self is a huge one. Right there and then, you identify that it was really just a big mistake. I forgive myself and I let go of that karmic decision. Release it, take a foot forward, and off you go. You're out. I truly believe this. It's this realization that you're so much more than the mind that you thought had it all put together. So what about karmic wheels with other people involved? This is a bit trickier, this one. Okay. I had a friend that, and I know she won't mind me telling this story because she's incredible. And I got permission to discuss it at a workshop, so she won't mind if I bring this one up. But my friend, she comes from her family comes from a war-torn country. The worst of the worst things have happened to her family and ancestors. You can't imagine the stories she's told me that just breaks my heart. The torture, the pain, the awful stuff that has come up. And she would talk to me about her hatred and resentment and anger and how she wished them all dead. And who could blame her? Like, seriously, what she experienced was totally, it's valid to feel that way, 100%. I said to her, the problem is just like the evil eye, for example, and we'll discuss that in a little bit more detail as we go forward. When we send out hate vibration to somebody, or resentment or anger or jealousy or anything that's low vibrational, when we send that vibration out to somebody, if it's conscious or unconscious, it doesn't matter. We're actually cursing them. And in this scenario, that probably didn't sound so bad, but it is, because the issue is when you curse somebody or when you send them low vibe, but even with thought patterns of hatred, you send that vibration out into the universe. Yes, it does hit them if they accept it and consent to it. We'll talk about that in detail later. But guess what happens due to the law of attraction? It comes right back to you. smacks you straight back in the face even harder. So you receive hate, might be from someone else, might be from a different location or area, but you receive that hate, you receive that resentment, you receive all the stuff you've been sending out comes straight back at you, and some believe even stronger. So I asked her instead to just stop for a moment and remember that even the villains in this world, even the worst of the worst, they are spirits having a human experience. They've completely forgotten how connected to God they actually are. And eventually they will have their life review and they will see what's happened and where they went wrong. And I said to them, consider how low vibrational and what a low frequency they are actually on. Those kind of people are in so much pain. And I didn't say this to promote any sympathy from her, because I knew that was asking too much. But understand that the ones that hurt people are hurt people. Those that hurt have been so hurt. They're in such a low vibrational space that all they can emanate is pain, anger, frustration, and they're hurting the world. They're hurting the collective. With their vibration being that low, everybody loses, obviously including them. So these people, these villains, they need light. They need love so much more than anyone else. And it's not because they deserve it. And it's not because they are getting away with it. It's because they're hurting everyone around them with that low vibration, with that low frequency. And when someone raises in frequency, everyone around them raises in frequency and they send out higher vibrational energy into the world. So understanding this concept and also considering that every time she sent hate to that villain, she was receiving it back even stronger. So I asked her, what if she could send, instead of hate vibration, that we now understand what will happen by sending that vibration out, it's going to come straight back to her and nobody wins. What if we were to send love and forgiveness vibration to the villains? And this seems inconceivable considering they don't deserve it. But sending love and forgiveness to the spirit of that human that has forgotten their way and lost their way, what that does is it does affect that villain. That villain with a bit more love and forgiveness may rise in frequency. They may be risen enough to stop hurting people or stop thinking torturing is okay, or it might just pull them out of that frequency, allowing them to make more kinder and loving choices themselves. Not only that, but it will also send that vibration due to the law of attraction straight back to her really strong. High vibrational energy comes straight back to us in such strength, tenfold, I would even say. Now, everybody wins. This is easier said than done. I totally respect it, understand that. And I promise you, I have had my share of villains in my life, without doubt. I had a friend of ours that we were trying to help to get off drugs. And this is in our early 20s. And we were working in the mining industry at the time. One night he drank too much. And a play fight with my husband turned into fist fight between them. And instead of bowing down and just cooling down, this guy that we'd welcomed into our home and gotten a job in the mining industry and helped off drugs, he chose to go into our house and grab a knife. He pinned my husband down and tried to stab him in the throat. I jumped in front of my husband and he stabbed me in the leg. Almost killed me because it was pretty close to the artery, actually. Now, for a long time, I was just so angry about this situation and I was sending him a lot of low vibrational energy. But quite quickly, I noticed that there was a big lesson in this. There was a big opportunity to learn from something in this scenario. And I recognized that this gentleman, this guy, he just lost his way. Yeah, he made some really crappy decisions. And from my understanding, he hasn't really learned from them either. I was able to forgive him, and my husband was able to forgive him because we saw this lost human that forgot exactly how divine he actually was. And we were able to forgive that spirit side and send him love and forgiveness. And the key to the forgiveness was also seeing the lesson in it. So, yeah, no one deserved to be stabbed. And no, we definitely didn't deserve that situation. And we had every right to feel upset and angry about it, without doubt. But you see, the thing is, that scenario, there were so many gifts in it. There were so many gifts. Soon after that, my husband decided we weren't actually married at the time. He soon decided that I was the woman he wanted to marry, and that my selflessness of love, of jumping in front, was something that he was just so touched about. And I realized that he was the man that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, because I couldn't bear the thought of losing him in my world. I would throw myself in front of him. That's how important it was, how important he was. So it drew our love, my husband and I's love together, and realized how important our relationship was. And everything changed in our relationship from that point on. I also learned who my tribe was, who the people that were going to stand by me in life were, because that kind of situation, you really learn who your true friends are. And I got to see the most beautiful outpour of love in our community in Port Hedland. And it was absolutely beautiful to feel that love and connection with everybody. So there are always lessons in every challenging, horrible situation. Another one was, and I'm sharing this with you guys, not for any empathy or sympathy or anything like that, because I just want you to know that I get it. I get that it's so easy to just have someone say, you need to forgive, you need to love, when you've been through the thick of it. My husband and I, we lost our daughter. And I think there's no pain in the world like losing a child. So I feel like I really need to be authentic and share this one, because there's going to be people out there that say, hang on, Sarah, you can't see the lesson in every situation. Some situations are just evil or awful. Yeah, I get it. When we lost our daughter, Katie, she was stillborn. We fought so hard to keep her, by the way, but there was a placenta abruption. I could not, for the life of me, see the lesson or the reason or anything that remotely came close to seeing a gift in this situation. It was my worst nightmare that came true. And if you're in this space right now and you just don't understand why these things are happening to you, and you think that there couldn't possibly be any lesson or message or important significance, think again. Because I found out that losing Katie, she came to me, and I am regularly in contact with her in meditation now, but she came to me as a child that was never truly going to be born, because it was really important that she set me on a track that would help so many people in the future. There was a huge lesson in her loss. There was a lesson of how precious life is, and how to not take anything for granted, and that life could be taken from you very, very quickly, and to cherish the relationships I had in my life. That was a huge lesson. But the course that I went on, the trajectory that I was sent on after losing Katie, was incredible. I developed this incredible appreciation for the midwife. I was going through I had to go through the labor of once I'd lost her. She was incredible, this midwife. She sent me into this zone where she literally was like coaching me without any sympathy, because if anyone gave me sympathy at that particular moment, I would have lost it. But she just coached me through the entire process and got me through it, because everyone else around me grumbled, as it's totally expected. And I realized that people like her, Mary, her name was, by the way, were very, very important for people in the time of crisis, in the time of need. They need people of strength to coach them through. And I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be like Mary for other people. And at the time, I really felt it was around midwifery. So it sent me on this trajectory to become a nurse, and then with the objective of becoming a midwife. So I started nursing. That's where that came from. So I studied nursing for 2.5 years, and it was absolutely incredible. I always felt like it probably wasn't going to be my career, but I just loved learning about biology. I loved learning about even the counseling subjects. It was just absolutely, absolutely brilliant. It was a real alignment for me. It pulled me out of the dead end jobs that I was in, even though there were great management roles in HSC and HR. It pulled me out of that and gave me something to really look forward to and be excited about. Alignment. You know you're in alignment when you start getting excited. And soon, a couple of years ago, I went through my incredible awakening, my spiritual awakening, and had my first Reiki attunement. And I had a vision of me helping people just like I wanted to, just like Mary inspired me to be. But it was in natural medicine. It was in energy medicine. I left my nursing course and jumped ship into this field of energy medicine and energy healing. And it has been incredible. Now, I would never have found my way here. It was a weird way to get here, but I got here. I would never have found my way here if it wasn't for my loss of Katie. She sent me in this path, and I now feel closer than I ever have to her in spirit. So there is always a lesson, no matter how painful it is. And when we notice and figure out the lesson, and we're able to provide forgiveness, because I needed to forgive myself after losing Katie. I blamed myself for everything. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done this, or maybe I was too strenuous in that area. I had to literally forgive myself and let that be at rest. And I had to see the lesson. And then I was truly able to break that karmic cycle and start to really, really get to the next stage of my life. Just like with the situation of getting stabbed, once I saw the lesson, I was able to forgive myself and him, and I was able to really break that cycle. So hopefully those two examples really help to give you some insight on why these things are happening, why we get stuck on this karmic wheel. Now, you may find that there's certain things in your life that just keep happening. There's different stories to them, but they're sort of the same sequences happening over and over again. So, for example, maybe you keep dating the same type of guy, the same narcissistic energy that comes through, or the same violence that you keep occurring. You're missing it. You're missing the lesson. And I really urge you to go far back to the root cause of the main first time it happened and look at what could possibly have been the lesson that you missed. What came out of it? What changed in your life after that situation happened? And with that, to really consider that the villain is a spirit having a human experience that's completely forgotten how divine they are, and to forgive that spirit. Because when you do that, it unlocks the karmic wheel and off you go. You get off it, and you don't have to keep repeating the same experiences over and over and over and over again. You're done with it. Tick, complete. I really hope that I have done this subject justice. It is not an easy one to explain. And that's why I really felt like I needed to get personal on it to really give you an understanding. So, summarizing this all over again, we are talking about law of attraction that is bringing that traditional karma concept back. So what we put out into the universe, we get back. Absolutely, but it's not from judgment and punishment. It is purely the vibration and energy you send out has to come back to you. So consider that. And a really great one that I talk to people about, this one's quite controversial, so bear with me, but I really believe in this. And I learned this one from early 20s when I had really a big belief in the evil eye, or the corno, the Italians call it, or whatever emblem or icon you use to deflect negative energy or curses. And I'm going to do another podcast on curses because that's a whole nother subject. But when someone sends you low vibrational energy, we're going to call that a curse, okay, for argument's sake. So with these icons, these evil eyes or kronos or whatever your traditional culture calls them, what they do is they deflect that energy to go straight back to that person. Now that we understand the concept of how vibration and law of attraction work, we understand that those emblems can only send that negative low vibration back to that person. Now, what that does is it sends this complete racketeering of low vibrational energy, and nobody wins. It just ramps up and builds up like a big dirty hairball. And this low vibrational energy comes back to you. So when somebody sends you evil eye, you send it back to them, they send it back to you, and it bounces back and forth. Does that make sense? So I urge you guys, don't go and throw your evil eyes out straight away because of my belief system, but maybe change the intention, because it's all about the intention on those emblems and icons. Make it a loving eye. And make it a loving eye. That anytime someone sends you hate, anytime someone sends you low vibrational energy, the intention in those emblems or icons are to send them back love. Send them back forgiveness, because they need it more than anybody else. And what happens when we send that love and forgiveness to somebody? It comes back to us 10 times fold. Everybody wins in that scenario. So I urge anybody that's got a little evil eye hanging on their jewelry or on their walls, identify it, rejig it, and give it the intention of sending love, and start calling it the loving eye, and see what happens in your life, because we need more love. This world needs more love. I think we all agree. Now, with that, I send you all so much loving vibration, and I hope that you all have a wonderful afternoon. And if you join us on the next one, we're going to have some incredible speakers coming up. I've got a priestess coming to talk to us about entities and the different types of entities, how they're created, how they're banished, all those lovely things. And also talking about curses, which I'm really excited about because, again, good news on curses, really good news to give you in regards to curses. And it's not going to cost you a cent. And the next podcast we've got scheduled is on Dolores Cannon's quantum healing hypnosis technique. We've got one of the most senior Australian practitioners coming on to talk about what the incredible work that this hypnosis technique is actually doing. And I'm so excited to share some stories of my own and of Judy's. So that's going to be so exciting. And I also have booked in Alicia from the Naughty Naturopath Mum. So she's going to come on and speak to us about energy medicine and her products and sprays and how they were developed and what her journey was. So that's going to be absolutely incredible. I can't wait. Thank you so much for listening. And I really hope that you enjoyed this segment. Have a great night.